Everyone, happy Sunday to you. I hope you all are keeping well and safe. I just want to quickly share something with you. There are three things you can do with your past. There are three things you can actually do with your past. The first one is forget your past. When you say forget your past, it means you forget completely all those things that happened and all of that. Like what the children of Israel did. They were asking God for help. And when God helped them, what they did was, when they now encountered challenges in the wilderness, they now preferred to go back to Egypt. This was the same place they complained they didn't want to, the suffering. So they wanted to go back to their past. Some of us are like that. We just complain about the past. When God now decides to take us away from that past, we want to go back to that thing. That's one option that you can do with your past. The second thing you can actually do with your past is also you mourn over your past. There's this animal, after eating, he brings it out again and chew it, swallow it. You can keep mourning. You can keep mourning over your past. You can keep being bitter about what has happened, the ways, how you were betrayed and all of that. You can mourn over it. Every 15 minutes you come back to that same thing. You keep mourning over it. By so doing, you are killing yourself. You are falling into depression, self-pity, you are getting bitter and all of that. So you can do that with your past. Every time you bring it up again, you allow it to your emotions to be affected. Or you can do the third one, which is the best out of the three. Conquer your past. When you say conquer your past, it means two things majorly, but they can be more. One, when we talk about conquering your past, you decide to reconcile with that past. You have to first face the past head on. That betrayal, how you were raped, how you were accused, how you were lied on. All those things that happened to you that were not pleasant, that were not okay, that brought you so much shame, reproach. You can decide to face it and reconcile with it. That's the first thing you can do. Face it and reconcile with it. Yes, it happened. I was raped. Yes, it has happened. Or, yes, I was betrayed. Okay, you can face it and reconcile with it and say it's happened. And you try to, then you reconcile with it. Then, second thing you will do is the grace of God. It's a grace be multiplied. The scripture talks about grace be multiplied. You will have to ask God for grace to conquer it, which is actually the first step. You have to ask God to give you the grace to overcome. You ask for God's grace, because it is the grace of God, by the grace of God, that we are not consumed. It is by the grace of God that we can actually forgive. It is by the grace of God we can reconcile and face it head on. It is by the grace of God we can see purpose out of our past. We can see God's hand, because the scripture talks about all things working together for good to them that love God. So this can actually work together for you that love God. So the thing you do, conquering your past, is you ask for God's grace. Secondly, you ask for God's grace. Secondly, you face it head on and reconcile with it. The third thing you can do when you are conquering your past, your past can be directly, meaning you were directly involved with what happened. You were the cause of what happened. You played a major role. You were the key player of what happened to you. You were the one that ruined your marriage. You were the one that went to abort, and now you have a ruptured home. Now you are facing the consequences of your past. So you are a direct key player to what happened to you. So when that is, and the situation then you will have to do one thing: take lessons from what happened. When I say take lessons, it means you will have to forget the pain, but you have to take the lesson out of it. But when you are not directly the person that made that past to be in use, or maybe for instance you were raped, which wasn't directly your fault, or you had an abusive parents, which was not directly also your fault. What you can do with that your past is those two things directly involved. Then you will have to take 3 steps in conquering your past. First, you ask God for grace. Secondly, you face it and reconcile with the past. And thirdly, take your lessons. So there are things you cannot change. When you mourn over your past, it's like crying over a spilled milk. The broken egg can no longer become one anymore. No matter how we try to gather it, it's no longer one. It's cracked, it's broken. But there is something that in all of this, I want to sum up with all of this that can actually happen to your past. Give God your past. When you give God your past, it's able to make those broken pieces. Is able to make it one, because with God nothing is impossible. The scripture says, is there anything too hard for God to do? No. It's for us, it's difficult, but to God it is not difficult. Blessed Sunday. My name is Ebe Itali.